Hello? Yeah, much better now. Yes, so I will start first with mentioning some of the latest policy developments that have recently been happening. Then I will discuss some of the upcoming call topics that are going to be managed, monitored by my current unit. And then also I will just briefly list some of the call topics that are managed by some of the other DG Connect units, as well as some of the DG RTD units, because yes, there is plenty of them, especially in some of the units that are more dealing with health. They have more and more data and health topics. Yes, so first of all, a few weeks ago, the European Commission proposed a communication towards a European data space, the data package, and it announced different types of measures and its different level of at the different levels of intensity. Most notably, a proposal for a review of the PSI directive, so that's the directive on the reuse of public sector information. Then also an update on the 2012 recommendation on access and preservation of scientific information, as well as guiding on sharing private sector data among companies and with public sector bodies for public interest purposes. These initiatives build also on the Commission proposal that took place last year in September on the free flow of non-personal data, that really aims to remove any data localization restrictions that are currently in place and thus facilitate the development of European data economy. And another proposal by the Commission has been the communication on digital transformation on health and care in the digital single market, also on the 25th of April 2018. And yeah, this really is a very interesting document, and there the European Commission sets out plans and strategies both in terms of policy and in terms of funding, and it focuses on three main aspects. One is that citizens, both patients and not yet patients, have secure access to and sharing of health data across borders. This is currently to some extent the case for patient summaries and e-prescriptions, but the Commission also wants this to be the case for electronic healthcare records, and also there would need to be much better interoperability of healthcare records, which is currently not the case. Second, better data for preventive and personalized medicine, and also research in these areas. My thesis was on the area of personalized medicine, and also I worked in the unit for a commission for personalized medicine, and yes, there of course data is very big, data generated from all sorts of genomics, proteomics, epigenomics, all these disciplines, and also a lot of the lifestyle data that's collected, and all of this will require good data and also good analytics, because currently we can generate a lot of data, but to extract what's medically meaningful is a different story. And finally, also the final point for action will be some digital tools, basically for patient empowerment, so that basically patients, in a way, can have better communication with their healthcare providers. That there is going to be more integrated sort of care, and also some of these digital tools, it is hoped, could potentially help some patients more adhere to some of their therapies and stick to the treatment. Yes, so first of all, I will discuss some of those call topics that are managed by my unit. They are all financed through the Horizon 2020 2018-2020 program, and it's the ICT section of this, Information and Communication Technologies. And yes, there is one important thing, I don't know to what extent you know, because this is relatively new, is that a contractual agreement has been signed between the European Commission and the BDVA, the Big Data Value Association. And the idea is really to foster cooperation in data-related research and innovation, to create a functional data market and a thriving data economy, and position Europe as a strong player in big data. The whole objectives and everything can be found on the BDVA website in the strategic and research innovation agenda. And this is important because this big data value PPP is being implemented in the 2016-17 and now the 2018 to 2020 work program, in the calls for proposals in the ICT section of the Horizon 2020 work program. So all of those topics that I will be mentioning now, those that are managed by my unit, I will make a reference for some of the others, but all those that I will present in the middle part of this presentation, they try to implement this big data value PPP. So all selected projects are automatically part of this big data value PPP, and this is regardless of whether they are a member of the BDVA or not. And this has a lot of implications also in terms of some of the articles that have to be in the grant agreement, and I will come back to that. Yes, so this is one of the core topics that has actually already started. But the research and innovation part of it has closed, because this one has two deadlines, one in 2018, one in 2019. And so in 2019 there is a core topic for an innovation action in HPC and big data enabled large-scale test beds and applications. Yes, this time we are really looking for a decision has been made for fewer projects but bigger projects, what we call Lighthouse projects. That on average there will be 15 to 18 million euros per proposal, so quite a bit more, because most of ours so far have been more around the 5 million mark, with the total budget of 40 million, so most likely 3 proposals are going to be selected. It opens on the 26th of July and closes on the 14th of November. And the proposals should also seek synergies and co-financing from relevant national and regional research innovation programs. And in all of these PPP topics, as I've already mentioned, it's important that Article 30.3 has to be added to all grant agreements. It's not a decision by my unit. It's been decided on a much higher level, and basically that's the article that the Commission has right to object to transfer or licensing of results outside of the EU. Having said that, if results are generated and they want to transfer results out of the EU, they can provide a notification to the Commission. But the Commission always has the right to object this. And in any case, this has to be in the grant agreement. So if some of the partners are not happy with this, then they should know this in advance, because we had a case where one of the consortia that actually got selected almost didn't sign the grant agreement because of it. Yeah, so basically, yeah, this 11B topic is really aims to take advantage of some of the data processing technologies, primarily big data, cloud and edge computing, and leverage on different types of IoT data sources and technologies. And the aim is really to build a European data infrastructure. Yeah, the objective is to demonstrate how industrial sectors will be transformed by putting data technologies at their core. The industrial pilot testbed should also address the relevant networking connectivity and large-scale data collection, management, and, of course, very important, the interoperability issues. Possible industrial sector for these large-scale pilot actions, I've listed them here. Probably the health sector is going to be the most relevant one here, and of course there are quite a few differences to the topics that we had in the past, but there is also similarities. And for example, we had topic 15 of the previous work program, We had a big Lighthouse project that's called Big Mediolytics that started beginning of this year. So it's would be useful for some of the proposers to take stock of some of these projects. Yes, so one thing regarding data, and this is important for some of these topics, they definitely should be available to the testbed, and they have to be described in the proposal. They should be of sufficient complexity and sufficiently large. And the pilot testbed should also aim to provide via the cloud secure access and service provisioning for highly demanding data use cases for companies and also in particular SMEs, and that's encouraged. Yes, so in terms of impact, we want to see an increase in the innovation productivity in the main target sector, so it could be healthcare, of the large-scale pilot action, and increasing the market share of some of these big data technology providers, and the effective integration, as I've already mentioned, of these various technologies in the target sector. Also, the aim is really to widen the use and hopefully facilitate the access to some of these infrastructures that are going to be developed, and therefore really provide a stimulant to the data economy in Europe. And yes, finally, as I said, it would be also good to we hope that this is also going to stimulate other types of investment, and as I said, proposals should also look also for co-financing opportunities as well, in addition to the EU. Yes, because this is an innovation action, I will industrial partners that are involved, they should really be represented by people that are really in core business operation functions rather than in the research setting, because this really is not just, of course, even in innovation actions there usually is a research component, but deployment is key. There is a lot of, which is why we have innovation actions, there is a lot of interesting research, but this one really focuses on deployment. And yes, and basically at the very beginning there should be a plan how and a business strategy how some of these industrial partners could potentially exploit and really commit to these technologies in terms of deployment rather than investing in something that's not going to deploy and be deployed anyway. Okay, I think these are the main things. I will try to go a bit quicker now. And then the second core topic that my unit will be managing is related to privacy. It's called Supporting the Emergence of Data Markets and the Data Economy. These are a bit smaller projects, so 4 to 6 million per proposal, total budget around 48 million euros. It's going to be opened mid-October this year, closes in March next year. Once again, Article 30.3 needs to be added to the grant agreements, so all partners should know in advance whether they're okay with this. And yes, the idea is to really foster the European data economy by setting up data platforms of industrial and also personal nature that can facilitate data sharing and in this way create all sorts of new opportunities both for the private and the public sector. Yes, so it's innovation actions, as I said, so it aims for setting up and operating platforms for secure and controlled sharing of closed data. The action should address the necessary technical, organizational, legal, and commercial aspects of data sharing and build on existing computing platforms. The proposal shall address one or both of the following subtopics. So it's either personal data platform that try to ensure respect to prevailing legislation and data subjects and data owners to remain in control of their data and its subsequent use. or industrial data platforms that should enable and facilitate trusted and secure sharing and trading of commercial data assets with automated and robust controls on compliance of legal rights and remuneration, fair remuneration of the owners of the data. In terms of impact, personal data protection should be improved and should be in compliance with the GDPR, which is coming in now in a few days' time. The idea is really to improve citizen trust and privacy-aware transparency and control features, and really just better value creation from personal and industrial data. And this one really deals a lot with, as I said, this topic with privacy. So any of those privacy-preserving technologies, there's blockchain or some of these distributed ledgers are also going to be appreciated. Yes, here I have a few figures. I'm not going to go over them, but in the work program it also lists specifically what we want to achieve, what results we want to have, the impact, and yes, this should also, of course, also be borne in mind and should be really realistic that some of those are achieved. Yes, finally, also in the work program, there are in the keynotes there are a few additional resources that are recommended, and some of those I've listed here. The first one is more related to personal data platforms, and the second one more to industrial data platforms. So I think it should be have a look at these documents before applying. And as I said, for many of these topics that I've said, all of those have also. I mean, my unit deals with big data in general. This is why some of these topics are more general, but those that I present, if it's related to a more healthcare domain or use cases in healthcare, it's of course a possibility. Yes, and finally, I will also describe some of the core topics that are upcoming. That are managed by different DG Connect units. We have a unit for e-health, well-being, and aging, which is probably more relevant to many of the stuff that you do. It really is the topic when it comes to digital health and implementing data in the healthcare system. So they have some interesting topics, but also, for example, the DG Research and Innovation, the Health Directorate of DG Research and Innovation, where also I used to work. There you have a unit for personalized medicine. You have, in general, in health, it's becoming bigger and bigger. I see it all the time. So it's definitely also worth checking that. In particular, the societal, so the work program 2018-2020, Societal Challenge 1, Health, Demographic Change, and Well-being. This part of the work program is going to be most relevant. Yes, and here I have some of the core topics that could be relevant. As I said, these are mentioned by different units, some by the eHealth unit in DG Connect, other ones by RTD or also other units. Yeah, so here they are. For example, the first one, systems approaches for the discovery of combinatorial therapies for complex disorders. In general, also anything that has to do, there are also some topics about systems biology. For many of those, usually it's required that there is a lot of different types of data and also very good analytics, because that's what's needed in the field. Then there is one on an action for support of the International Consortium of Personalized Medicine. There was a call deadline for this year, but there's also going to be one for next year. So the one for next year is still upcoming. Then there is also a call for next generation sequencing for routine diagnosis. There also it's data is key. We have also a call on mining big data for early detection of infectious disease threats driven by climate change and other factors. So yes, anything in the domain of epidemiology, there also data is getting bigger and bigger. We also have a demonstration pilot for the implementation of personalized medicine in healthcare, and finally the human exposome project, a toolbox for assessing and addressing the impact of environment on health. So as we have the different omes, this is the exposome relates to the environmental factors. Yes, then we have within this societal challenge in the work program, we also have a call on digital transformation in health and care. In particular, and this one I think is managed by the eHealth unit in DG Connect. It's big data and artificial intelligence for monitoring health status and quality of life following cancer treatment. Then large-scale implementation of digital innovation for health and care in an aging society, and scaling up of univocal identification of medicinal products. Also one on digital health and care services. Yes, some large-scale pilots for personalized and outcome-based integrated care, whether some of these healthcare systems can be implemented, and then finally support for the large uptake of open service platforms in the active and healthy aging domain. Yes, and there is one more, this one also managed by the eHealth unit in DG Connect on smart and healthy living at home. I didn't really want to, because of course time is very limited, and otherwise this presentation would take hours, but definitely have a close look at the work program. Let me know if you have any questions. In fact, yeah, my background is, even though I work in the unit dealing with big data, my background is more actually in the health domain, so I'm sure I can also help you out in case something is not 100% clear for some of these other topics that I mentioned. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. As I said, I would encourage you to have a look both at the ICT work program as well as at this challenge for societal challenge 1 for health. We also have, in addition to Horizon 2020, there is also a program for health. There could be some topics, I have not looked into it, in data there as well. And of course, we now already have potential plans for FP9 and what could come in the future, but it's still very, at this stage, very hypothetical. There could also be a digital Europe program as well, but it's still at this stage, it's very, very unclear what will exactly happen. And of course, if there's multiple programs, then potentially the part that's digital in FP9 could be smaller, but it's really not known, it's speculative at this stage. But in any case, this is what we know for sure, so yeah, that's it, pretty much.
We have now an opportunity to ask questions that Dr. Popovic can address now. And John.
Yeah, hopefully, because I know this isn't really your area, you alluded to some of the projects being about the legal implications of the data economy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is very important in terms of being able to both protect people's rights and trade data, because obviously data ownership is I mean, you can't exactly own data, but you have some method of having data rights and being able to preserve your investment and things like that. I've seen a white paper by, I think, Bird and Bird, that looked at some aspects of it from a commercial point of view. It didn't really seem to protect data subjects very much, and it didn't. So, I'm wondering what you think about things like hybrid inalienability, so that you can sell your data to somebody, but then that person doesn't have the automatic right to sell it on as it would be with other forms of property, so you're not able to completely give away all your rights.
So can you just repeat the final sentence so that the
this concept of hybrid inalienability of data, so that you may be able to sell your data to somebody, but unlike other forms of property, say if you sold your car to somebody, they'd be free to sell it on. With data, that wouldn't be the case. You'd sell it to somebody, and you'd be able to stop them from passing it on to somebody else. You wouldn't be able to give away all your rights.
Yes, I mean, regarding this, I think probably the best thing is I will, because I mean, the unit where I work, we are mainly split in two different parts, in project management and policy, but this is something, before I give like any false information, I will first check with the policy team. They will know for sure. They deal with these topics on a regular basis. I will take your name, and then I can provide you the exact answer, just making sure everything is correct. Yes.
Yes, Clem.
So you mentioned two things I was curious about. One was big metalytics. I
Yes.
said it right. It was 2017. Has anything been published on that yet? Are there reports out on that yet?
Yes, so this one has been selected last year in the calls for proposals, and yeah, it started in January this year. They do have a website. It's managed by my project by my colleague Sila, that you know, and yeah, well, I mean, it's very in the early stages. They have submitted some deliverables, and they do have a website, but I don't know. I would have to check up with her. But this is one of the biggest projects that we have. I think it has, if I'm not mistaken, I think it has over 40 partners, and yeah, it's one of these Lighthouse projects. But yeah, it is at a very early stage, but still it could be interesting to see, whether some of the things that they are doing could be also relevant to potential proposals in the future.
I could find the website to look at.
Yeah, I mean, it should be rather straightforward, but I mean, otherwise I can even find it today, and then I will let you know.
The other one was about the last thing, which is for 2019, for specifying medicinal products. Just curious about what level that was on. Is that on the level of the inventory, on the level of the companies have multiple runs, or is it the level of clinical care?
Which one? Which one?
I think it was
the medicinal project, the scaling up univocal.
Univocal identification of medical products. So just at what level in that hierarchy is that targeting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I said, these projects are not really managed by my unit, but I can, even throughout the course of the day, I can have a closer look at what exactly is looked for in this topic. Also, I know some of these units, because many of those are also managed by the health directorate of DGRTD. And yeah, I can even today come back to you with the answer.
An important subject.
Yeah.
Interest
Yeah.
around the world.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, some of these topics are very different levels. Some are really more on developing analytics. Others are more on the deployment side of things. Others are comparing different types of healthcare systems. Others are, I mean, on all sorts of levels you have actions. So this one, I don't know in particular really, because I didn't want to go into too much detail here, but I will come back. If you stay around today, I will come back with the answer.
I have a question for you. How I see that a lot of units are involved in big data activities, and you cover a wide range of societal activities, also outside healthcare.
Yes.
How do you prevent that what you are doing in Brussels and in Luxembourg becomes too siloed?
Mm-hmm.
And that it also can prevent people to submit proposals that are really crossing borders.
That are, but by too siloed, you mean?
That every unit has its own pet project, and that means pet calls.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, how do you avoid to become too siloed?
Yeah.
Projects?
Yes. No, I mean, it's a good question. We try to, of course, my unit is more broader. We have projects in both really more the basic ICT and then also implementation in different domains. But we do try to of course, there's different units in totally different domains employing big data, and we do recently we had more and more initiatives also to have a look at, to have much better communication, what everybody is doing, that we don't double fund projects, that we don't have many of the same projects getting funding by different types of units. We also had recently the first ever meeting between DG Connect and the Innovative Medicines Initiative, which is also where I used to work. It's a public-private partnership where half the funding comes from pharmaceutical companies and half comes from the European Union. And they now, the Innovative Medicines Initiative, I think they have now 13 projects in relating to data, many of them big data. They also have a big data for better outcomes initiative. And yeah, they themselves also collaborate now with another joint undertaking called AEGLE that's also more involved in some of these data-driven technologies. And yeah, so we try really to more and more, because in the past, of course, it has happened at times that some of the units were funding similar projects. So we really try to, and yeah, my unit in specific has, I think, in general, quite a good overview because we are not really focused on any type of specific area, even though certain areas for sure are a little bit more prominent amongst our projects, but it's actually quite a good mix.
And then a final question, that is, we all are aware that Brexit looms large over this kind of activities, and it appears that it is moving towards a hard Brexit.
Yes.
And, what does it mean for British partners at this stage of projects and calls?
Yes, yeah. I mean, this is something also that, yes, it is of course a very good question, and it is also something that needs to be addressed rather urgently. But it's also something that, especially at our level, no one's really sure. Even at the higher level, I think this is also one of the reasons why some of the things in the new framework programs, FP9, have been somewhat slowed down. It's not totally clear. Yeah, how is this also going to affect British partners? How is this also going to affect the budget? Again, I think I will try to speak with my head of unit and some of these relevant people, whether there have been any new developments. Until recently, the answer is it wasn't clear, but who knows? I mean, of course, things need to move quickly, so perhaps something happened in the last few weeks and I wasn't fully aware of it. But in any case, I mean, some of these questions, I guess, where I couldn't provide a precise answer today, I can take your details. I mean, some of them I can provide even today, and the others I can send you an email later once I've checked. And if we have an answer for this, maybe we don't yet have an answer. So.
Okay, thank you. I would like to